I've developed an innate hatred for educake. I also developed a very capable bot for educake as well, and plenty of time to kill. I had the means, and I had the motive. Educake wasn't just revision now. It became a way of life just for a single week. Wake up. Open educake. Select a unit I haven't completed before. Complete all questions in the unit. Manually switch to the next unit when complete. Sleep. Wake. Repeat, like a version of Groundhog Day that had become corrupted in transit. Was it healthy? No. Was it legal? Possibly. Was it working? Yes, in fact it was slightly better than expected. On Wednesday, I had finished all 6,000 questions that educake had for AQA science, but Grilliam's accuracy was abysmal. Since my script had to get the questions wrong in order to get the correct answer, his accuracy was well below 50%. Out of courtesy, I needed to reset his accuracy to a reasonable number like it was before any farming began, because if you're going to destroy someone's academic credibility, you should at least create a facade of competence by overcorrecting it aggressively, just to rub salt in the wound. I chose the arbitrary target of 90% because it made the indicator for question accuracy go a nice shade of green. If any of Grilliam's teachers saw his statistics right now, the only reasonable conclusion would be that his memory had been wiped and his IQ had suddenly dropped by 100 points. A quick calculation showed that to offset the 6,000 sacrificially wrong answers I had already inflicted, I would need 54,000 more correct answers. I would be erasing my felonies tick by tick, quiz by quiz. At this point, I was fed up of clicking on the buttons to make a new 100-question revision quiz. I didn't want to have to babysit the script every minute to check if it was finished. I wanted to touch grass for the first time in weeks. In addition, the script would finish the 100-question quiz in about 2 minutes, so I had to create a new quiz manually every 2 minutes. But I realized that my script would still be loaded, even if the back button on the browser was clicked. Therefore, I made another script that would detect when a quiz was finished and use window.history.back to go back to the quiz setup page. Then, it would automatically generate a beautiful new 100-question quiz by clicking and typing on the relevant HTML elements. I used another set interval to check the URL to see if quiz result was in the page, which would pause the automatic question mining temporarily. Despite how stupid the method might have sounded, it worked, and it worked beautifully. It was, however, an indescribably hideous bit of code, and at the time I called it a bodge on top of a bodge. So now, educake became self-sustaining, with no human intervention required. Just 2 scripts doing questions at an inhuman rate, getting 100% or close to it on every single quiz. It was pure industrialized revision. Brilliant, efficient, and devoid of soul. I ran the 2 farming scripts 9 hours a day for the next few days, until November ticked around. Hopefully, this would prevent Grilliam getting onto the leaderboard at school. But now we could enjoy the fruits of our labor because every once in a while a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything, and I have been, well, first of all, one's very fortunate if you get to work on just one of these in your school life. I have been very fortunate. I've been able to introduce a few of these into the world. September. We introduced the insta-completion script for LanguageNut. It didn't just change homework. It changed the world leaderboards. October. We introduced the AutoFarm script for LanguageNut. It didn't just change the way we earned points. It rewired the entire LanguageNut universe. Well, on the 26th of October 2024, we introduced 3 revolutionary products of this class. The first one is a play thick a bit button that could not be turned off. The second was a question bot script. And the third is a breakthrough answer database website. With these weapons of resistance, we emancipated fellow students from the Sisyphean nightmare of educake quiz homework, with help from my web developer friend Blake, who could actually write websites which didn't make you want to claw your eyes out. We made a website that allowed a user to fetch answers to educake questions. All you had to do was paste in the question, the image URL and the options, and then you would get the correct answer from my database. Using my scripting and his design, we had one beautiful website that served up answers on a silver platter. It was a tool to liberate our fellow comrades, because we really had nothing to lose but our chains. At the same time, I also released a cleaned-up version of the farming scripts so that people could use the auto-completion scripts for their homework. And finally, due to popular request, I even added a painful play thick of it button that played KSI's thick of it on loop to encourage students to finish their educake homework faster. Unfortunately, I used it, albeit ironically, whilst auto-completing my educake homework. This had the minor side effect of forging a permanent association between thick of it and educake in my mind, which still exists to this day. But back in school, it was clear that Mr. Barnett noticed something was up. I mean, it's not exactly every day that a random Year 11 student does 10 times more questions in a week than everybody else has done in 5 years. I don't exactly know what went through his mind when he looked at the leaderboard, but I can only guess that he might have been a little bit suspicious. He didn't put Grilliam's name onto the leaderboard after all. He must have assumed that it was a blip in the matrix, maybe just a quantum bit flip that boosted Grilliam's question count into the heavens. He even questioned Grilliam directly, but Grilliam just said it wasn't me, which to be fair was technically correct. Grilliam technically didn't partake in the farming of the questions. He merely hosted it, like an academic Airbnb. And although he did allow me to farm it in his name, his hands were technically clean, which was a genius bit of question laundering that allowed both him and me to get away scot-free. He didn't do any of the questions himself, and I didn't do any questions on my account. After all, nobody would suspect that it was me that farmed the 66,000 questions. Fast forward 7 months, we had a decent user base for our website, and even one person who just straight up asked me to do his homework using my script. But it was now May, and we were ready for study leave, a time where we didn't need to go to school except for exams. This created the perfect time for me to perform a minor bit of tomfoolery and mess with Mr. Barnett just a little. I could start my magnum opus of doing so many questions that Mr. Barnett would be more than just confused. He would doubt the foundations of educake itself. I would secure my legacy by burning a cursed anomaly into Mr. Barnett's brain that was not just a spike on the graph, not just a mere blip. I created an ultraplinian eruption of question activity so powerful that Grilliam's question count would equal that of the rest of the school year. Since we didn't have to go to school anymore, we could be omnipresent on educake, ever answering, yet there would be nothing Mr. Barnett could do about it to stop us. Before any further question abuse began, I had a look at his statistics. He had done 69,258 questions, and his overall accuracy was 91%, mere rookie numbers. Before unleashing new atrocities onto the world, I had done a little testing and I realized that educake farming is embarrassingly parallel. With 2 windows logged into the same account, I could essentially double my questions per second. In addition, the careful method of ensuring the server responded before trying to press the next question button was discarded entirely in favor using 2 separate set interval loops to try and answer questions, and click submit and next question as fast as humanly possible, or rather as fast as the server could respond. So each morning I logged onto educake using Grilliam's login details and religiously pasted the scripts in, and the question count was racking up fast. Here is a clip of the script in action. Incidentally, I had to use the play thick of it button because it created a YouTube embed. This prevented my computer from going to sleep due to inactivity, which allowed me to leave the script unattended whilst I did other things away from my computer. Here is a video with audio as well. Fortunately, I plugged in my headphones afterwards, which prevented me from hearing KSI's thick of it on loop. With 2 windows, the scripts could do 4 questions per second and used up 100% of my computer's CPU. My computer sounded like a rocket launch, and I could feel my computer slowing down, but it was absolutely worth it. Within a week, we had increased his total question count 5-fold, from 69,000 questions to about 330,000 questions, and from a quick back-of-the-envelope calculation, we rivaled the number of questions done by the rest of the year. Some other quick estimates suggested that we might be accounting for anywhere between 5% to 30% of their traffic. Although it would have been funny if I accidentally performed a denial of service attack on the educake servers, I highly doubt that the judge at the resulting court case would appreciate it nearly as much. Ignoring any possible legal complications, it was a monument to efficiency and automation. However, things quickly took a turn for the worse. One day, I had been mysteriously logged out from Grilliam's account, and any attempt to re-log in were unsuccessful. Initially, I suspected that I had been IP banned from educake for sending out far too many requests, but I could log into my own account perfectly fine. This was a sign of something far more sinister. I pinged Grilliam to see if he could log into his account, to see if the account even existed anymore. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Grilliam asked Mr. Barnett why his account had apparently been scrubbed off the face of the earth. Here was his response, which I have edited for conciseness. I think your account has been flagged by educake for suspicious activity because it has done so many questions. We were trying to understand how you've done 66,000 questions, 10 times more than any other student. I guess that somewhere in Oxford, there was a similarly confused, exasperated educake developer staring at the server logs, trying to figure out whether North Korea's hackers had decided to attack their systems. In all honesty, I never expected the official educake team to intervene. The idea that a real human at the educake offices in Oxford was looking at Grilliam's question count go up in real time and deciding that he either was a god or a bot gave me a sense of pride and accomplishment like no other. However, I think that they decided he was a bot. This was significant because it meant I had achieved notoriety. Of course, Grilliam denied any allegations of question farming, blaming somebody with a coding script, but claiming that I don't know anybody who would be able to do that or anything close. This was so incriminatingly specific and so blatantly transparent that it might as well be a pane of glass. I am legitimately surprised we got away. In fact, I was preparing a message for Mr. Barnett that would explain how we managed to scrape all the answers, repair his accuracy, and then do 200,000 questions in 2 weeks. In hindsight, I'd say it was probably good for Mr. Barnett's mental health that he never saw the real final total. I like to think that we spared him from a full-blown existential crisis, the sort reserved for solely philosophers. I can see him, possibly in a parallel universe, having the mental equivalent of a segfault after he sees that Grilliam did 330,000 questions. But either way, I was kept clean out of the crossfire. I actually checked some statistics with an educake sweat, so I had a rough idea of how many educake questions a person could reasonably do over the course of their school life. Turns out they had done about 8,500 questions, and that was over 2 years, because the school only purchased educake when I was in year 9. We did 260,000 in 2 weeks. That means that my bot was about 1,600x more efficient than the top students overall, and I'm pretty satisfied with that. And as a quick aside, I even had a dream about Mr. Barnett's educake leaderboard. I don't remember much, but it went vaguely like this. I was walking down the science corridor, and close to the science block entrance, Mr. Barnett was pinning up that month's leaderboard like he usually does. However, opposite to the leaderboard was a laminated poster, and in bold typeface, there was a warning from educake, reading, "If you use bots or hacking scripts, your account will be banned." And even though it's not at all related to educake, there was my school's language nut account UID next to it, sort of as a wall of shame, listing all the schools who have people who have been banned. Nevertheless, in the end, we had at least achieved something, though exactly how we got there is legally and ethically debatable. As Shakespeare rightly said, from ancient grudge to new mutiny, our mutiny being an academic war waged against both educake and Mr. Barnett, fought not with swords and shields, but with multiple choice questions and JavaScript. We made websites that fetched answers to homework. We wrote scripts that automated homework better. We didn't just beat the system. We wrapped it in a while true loop and left it unattended. But most importantly, we have done an utterly insane, cosmically large number of educake questions. And I guess that was vaguely educational.